Today we're going on a mission, or I'm going on a mission. I have to go to the cannabis store, I have to pick up the kids from school in a while, and I wanted to stop by the park and do a couple of little short videos about my thoughts. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm heading out now. Here's the point where I'd usually go left or straight, but today we left a little early, and we're going to wander down into the Pinebrook neighborhood. Dun dun dun, residents only. But they have some beautiful ponds, so we're going anyway. And here's Pinebrook. You know, I just saw a guy ride by on a motorcycle with the stereo blaring, and he was playing Daryl Hall and John Oates, Maneater. Weird. Here's their little pond, or one of them. They have a couple, 2 or 3 at least. It is a beautiful little area to live. I wouldn't like to be so close to all the other houses, though. Sorry, ducks. No food for you. Well, here's one of the 2 other ponds. This one looks pretty deep. It's kind of nice. But like I said, I wouldn't want to live this close to my neighbors without fences. I love the neighborly vibe, but snoopy people in places like this. Now we've entered the park. There's a large field over there with a garden. And over here's where we entered. And so I'm going to go right into here and explore this little trail. Now, I've always been the kind of person to take I should say, go off the beaten path, to take my own way. And I know a lot of other people are that way too. And it led me to, I guess, thinking about being stubborn. It's funny because if you Google, being stubborn, or anything about being stubborn, usually you'll come up with negative connotations. That, well, being stubborn will hold you back, and you need to learn to be flexible. All I hear when I read those things is basically just follow what other people tell you, instead of following your own path. I'm stubborn because other people do stupid things. I'm stubborn because other people say stupid things. I'm stubborn because mankind has not shown itself as a whole to be very good at problem solving when it comes to each individual following one path. And so therefore, being stubborn to me, is a matter of just understanding what advice works for me, what ideas work for me. And it's funny because I was looking back through some old writings I did, and I found this one that was written. It was a 3-page handwritten note to this guy that used to troll me on YouTube when I first started my channel. And he was like, the whole thing written out to him was basically, it ended in a nutshell with, well, I don't really care what you think or your opinion, I just had to express myself. And it's like, of course I care. Why else would I be responding? In other words, we have this idea of what other people might think of us or how we're perceived by others. It's usually nonsense. But if we worry too much, I guess, about trying to protect who we are, to try to prove who we are, then we find ourselves feeling trampled on. And being stubborn just means you stand for what you believe is true, and you don't put up with bullshit. You don't put up with other people's crap. And I think that most of us can agree that that's a good thing. The problem comes when we find ourselves leaving any semblance of working as a team or a pack. I mean, it's one thing to be stubborn and still get things done, but if you can't work with the group, whether it's a family unit or otherwise, then it's going to cause you problems in life. So, but on the note of being stubborn, there are always a lot of people who get really offended or bothered when you are stubborn around them. When a person has one idea, they're like, let's go do this. You're with the group and you say, no, I don't want to do that. Let's do this. Now, it can lead to some people being control freaks at the extreme end of it. I'm definitely not a control freak. In fact, I usually go with the flow of the group and just kind of say whatever works, you know. But if I can see any type of a damage or, you know, potential problems there, then I speak up. What do we got here? Now, as a teenager once, I can tell you, those are pellet holes. Some kids brought these out here to shoot with their pellet guns, I guarantee it. It's kind of silly. It's right next to the playground here, but, you know, like I said, humans were never exactly credited for being as intelligent, I guess, as we'd like to think we are. It's cool. Kids do stupid shit. I'm not the old guy who's waving my fist saying, those kids, because I was one. I broke windows. I caused problems. I love doing it. But I had my limits, of course. The old can in the tree and chair in the woods trick, huh? Yeah, I know that one. You sit down and a bungee cord pulls you up into the trees. Don't ever fall for it. Don't ever fall for Trap Town. Ha ha, perfect timing. Trap Town is this stupid YouTube channel that's been spamming every single video out there. It's just ludicrous. I'll make a separate video on that subject. So anyhow, yeah. Being a little bit stubborn can be a good thing. What do we got over here? This looks cool. I'm glad I didn't turn off the camera yet because I love stuff like this. I build things like this myself as a 44-year-old man, you know, and whenever I see kids do it, I'm like, people will be like, oh, look what kids built. It's like, yeah, dude, everybody should build stuff like that. It's awesome. Couldn't tell you what it is. It just looks like a fort to me. Funny thing is, kids don't really care how big it really is. It's just about building something. And all this ivy. So I'm going to go now. I bet my alarm goes off in a minute here because it's almost time to pick up the kids from school. But I'm glad I was able to get out to the woods and enjoy some time. I have some really nice videos here of mushrooms growing from last fall, and I'd like to share those. I was going to compile them into a little video and I never did it, but perhaps in the future. So it was right over in this area too. Be well, my friends. Thanks for coming along. Oh, and when I was getting ready to leave the park, I looked down and lo and behold, what did I see? Look at this here. Now, it's not a death cap, but I believe it's a type of amanita, if I'm not mistaken. I don't recall which one, but a yellow amanita, perhaps. But it's kind of fun to find these in February because usually they're gone by now. And there's a couple back there that look a little bit deceased, so I don't see any more around here. Oh, there's one more. They hide well, don't they? Beautiful buggers, beautiful buggers. Look at the knot holes on this tree where they removed the branches over time. Kind of cool. We have these little free libraries in our neighborhood, and they're pretty cool. I just thought I'd share. It's great when you can live in a neighborhood where they won't be completely destroyed, right? Can't see anything I'd read, though. Not at this point in time. Have you ever seen these little spots on the sidewalk and thought they were gum? Sometimes you'll see them around the city, various locations. It looks like a spot where somebody deposited a lot of gum. Well, it's not. It's actually a type of lichen that grows on concrete. And the reason it looks so flat is because it's been tread on. If you come out to the edge here, you look out by this moss, you can see how it radiates out from the center as it grows. It's kind of interesting. For some reason it favors certain types of sidewalks like this one, so I just thought I would share that information with you all, because I used to think it was gum too. learn something new. Now I took off the beaten path. The road is over to the left of me, and the kids get out of school in about, 6 minutes. But I like to walk up this side in the farmer's field. There's some wood chip piles throughout here that in the fall, hopefully we'll have lots of mushrooms. For those who are wondering, yes, mushrooms generally grow in the fall and the spring. It's the time when they're most plentiful. Naturally, in the winter it's too cold. And in the heat of the summer, they dry out. So they wait for the first rain. So if you've ever wondered, how to find a majority of mushroom species, you wait till after the first cold and the first rain. But generally, if you see one or two types, you'll start to see others. Even though each mushroom grows in its own climate and in its own time, a lot of them come up in the fall and the spring. There's a lot of spring morels which come up, and morels grow mostly in burn areas, but there's also a lot of fall morels and a whole variety of other species. So, I just like to look at them and take pictures of them. I probably got hundreds of pictures and photos and videos of various mushroom species, and they just fascinate me. They have a DNA that is unlike plants or humans, and they're a very unique species. So, and that's right, they're not plants. FYI. They're part of the fungal kingdom. Don't you remember science class? So there's the cemetery over there. It looks like they're having a funeral. They've expanded it since I moved in here 20 years ago. It used to be way over there, but they've expanded the cemetery into the farmland where they grow various, usually just pumpkins and Halloween stuff these days. But anyhow, I guess I better get over there to pick up my kid. Let me see what time it is here. Yep, I've still got 4 minutes, so I'll just keep walking along. I really like sharing nature information, but I'm actually kind of limited on what I know. I mean, at least in my mind. I know a lot more than probably the average person when it comes to the environment where I live, but maybe not. And I was thinking about this with herbs. I've had some people ask me, why don't you talk about herbs more? And it's because I almost feel a little bit reluctant to give advice on things these days, even if it's just in passing with a cautionary tale, because I don't want people to think that there's a magic herb or a magic solution for all their problems, or that the science is well understood as to the side effects and efficacy of these things. And mushrooms are the same way, which is why I haven't talked a lot about mushrooms. But if you're cautious and you know what you're doing, you can harvest some amazing species pretty much anywhere that you live. And I'm not just talking about psychedelics here, people. Yeah, there are edibles too, as you know. So, although the psychedelics are a pretty interesting one, that's for another time. I'm off down the magic trail now. First signs of life in the spring. The daffodils and the shooting stars. The school bus. Ready for its next trip. Once it gets cleaned up. Many more bulbs growing over here. I love spring.